All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. This is Will Bridges from 123Trade. We've got a lot to cover in today's client-only trading session. If you guys have been paying attention, there's been a lot of movement on the debt ceiling so far. There's been a lot of movement on Evergrande as well. Basically China's going to throw the kitchen sink at trying to save Evergrande, and that's had a big effect on a lot of things, for one of them being Australian stock market. So I'm actually going to show you guys a little bit of a different method that I use to figure out what I want to trade, and this is actually on our website, so you'll probably like that. Yeah, make sure I've got the questions window up here. I'm ready to stay on the same page with everybody. How we doing, Phil, Dava, Valerie? Happy Friday. I'm assuming that you guys can hear me. I know that a lot of people say good morning before I start talking. So I just want to make sure that this week I am showing you guys the screen. You guys get to see everything, but I'm going to go through, I'm going to try to go through the news for the entire world, and I'm going to try to do it in less than 5 minutes for you. And then we're going to look at a lot of charts. I've actually got some trades that I've opened last night, it looks like, with a couple of robots. Show you guys kind of what's going on with those. But yeah, tons going on. If you guys aren't excited about trading right now, then you should be, because there has never been this much opportunity. This has been the best year and a half of trading I think that's ever existed. Maurice, I appreciate you asking about the chief. I think he's back at work, so I mean he's back doing his thing again. Maybe not full steam, but I don't think he really wants to do that anymore. I think he's become more of a commodity, to say the least. But yeah, I do believe he's feeling a lot better. So I do appreciate you asking that. But let's go ahead and get this show on the road. Let's get rolling. First things first, I got to cover my base. Anybody watching this webinar right now, or if you're watching the recording on YouTube, everything in this trading session will be for educational purpose only. You do with the information that you think is best. There's no such thing as a guaranteed trade or a guaranteed investment. If somebody tells you that there is, they're full of it. But you do have to risk it to get the biscuit, people. So we're going to talk about risk management in here today, what that's all about. Okay, if you have a question, a lot of you have been here before. Good number of you have been here before. Get a pen and paper out. Make sure that I answer whatever question it is. If we point out something really cool you don't want to forget about, maybe you should write that down. But I am going to be paying attention to the chat box, and I want to make sure that everybody gets their questions answered. If you're watching this recording on YouTube, also, if you want to put something in the comments section, if you have questions, then you're probably not the only one with a question. Silence is violence, people. But let's keep going here. Some of you may not be familiar with everything that we do at 123Trade. Our primary function here is to help you get a regulated, secure broker that you can trade with. We want to get you the best trading conditions out there, and that means we want to help save you money on trading cost, and we want to help you get the leverage that you want. Somebody that you can trust. You don't have to think about, is my money okay at this broker? And that's a very important thing when you're trading something internationally. So if you need help with that, send us an email, brokers@123trade.com, or put a message in the comment section. We'll catch up to you somehow. We're going to do a lot of guidance, mentorship stuff in here. I want to talk a lot about. I'm going to show a ton of different trading strategies in this session today. I'm going to show a bunch of them, and I'll try to explain as best I can so that you guys can understand what I'm looking at to make my decisions. And other than that, we've got a lot of other resources to help you with basic stuff getting started. So if you haven't been to our website yet, I'm going to pull that up here in a second. There are a lot of videos, a lot of resources on there for you to check out. And obviously, trading live, being able to ask a question in real time is a lot more valuable than watching a recording. But that being said, we're going to do that every week in here. Anybody that's a client of ours is going to hopefully learn something in here today. This is what we kind of used to show in here every week. I don't do this every week in here. I'm going to show. Well, I'm going to place some trades in here. Oop. I am going to place some trades in here. But a lot of this other information, verifying your trading account, all that stuff, we have YouTube videos for that stuff, and I don't think that's something that makes sense for us to do live every single week. So I'll go ahead and actually just pull that up real quick. I think I've got the news page up on the website right now, but I'll just show you guys real quick. If you click this YouTube button on our website, then you'll find, this is basically our YouTube channel on the website. So the recordings for these sessions will be here. You'll also find a place where, here's our education for beginners. So if you want to know who controls the market, how to manage equity, all that type of stuff, it's right here. Okay, so check it out. But we're going to go through, I want to go ahead and get to the cool part today. And I want to click on this news tab, and I want to show you guys more or less how I go about using this, why I built it this way, or we built it this way, I should say. But essentially, I used to do a lot of Google searches every day, and I would read the news for the entire world and try to figure out what's hot, what's not, and play those against each other. Okay, so that's really what this is all about, and that just helps me pick a currency pair, and it helps me focus. Okay, so the reality is I don't have to necessarily read all of these articles. Okay, you can, don't get me wrong, and you can be very scientific about it. That's what this ebook down here is all about if you want to download it. The Power Pairs ebook. And it's all just based on, reading the news to figure out which currency pairs might be hot. And you can also have a better understanding of what the actual trend direction before you open your charts. Okay, so that's really what I want to impart on you guys here. And I feel like this is a very under-taught thing and not used enough. But I'm going to go through this. I'm going to skim this real quick. Australia shares hit 7-week high as Evergrande assurance calms market jitters. Okay, so all of these articles are in order of traffic. Okay, so the article that gets the most traffic in Australia, when you type in Australian economy into Google, is this one. Okay, it came out yesterday. Okay, so basically, they're saying that Evergrande assurance is calming the market jitters. They're not afraid of a housing market crash as much. So the Australian stock market is making a jump. And if the stock market makes a jump, guess what happens? People use Australian dollars to buy those stocks, and the supply of dollars in liquidity now goes down. Okay, so that being said, there's less value being held on the Australian dollar itself when people are going risk on and they're buying stocks with those dollars. That is the difference. Okay, so that is a bearish move for the Australian dollar itself in the short run. Okay, so beyond that, they've got, the second article here, there's a liberal running for, Parliament, which is long-term, might matter, probably not for us right now. I'm just going to skim through these real quick. We're not going to actually read all of them. You don't have to. Just want to get a feel for what's going on in Australia, okay? So Australia is talking about being pro-competition. That is a joke. I would laugh at that too. Paul Fletcher to face independent challenge in blue ribbon seat of Batchfield. Not really important to me. Fitch upgrades 7 classes, affirms 6 from 2 5-star transactions, removes from UCO. That sounds a little bit more confusing. I already got the feeling of what I want. This Evergrande thing is the biggest news that's been around. I don't necessarily need to go any further than that. New Zealand Central Bank is going to tighten the mortgage lending restrictions. They're going to make it harder to borrow money. So that should be bullish for the New Zealand dollar. I don't really need to read any more of this stuff. But at the end of the day, they're going to add another 1,000 jobs when they add in more Amazon cloud. And, that's more bullish news for the New Zealand dollar. So I'm going to keep rolling with that. Taiwan applies to join. That's also good news. I mean, there's lots of good news for New Zealand right now. Maybe bullish on that right now. Okay. And it might be a little bit more bearish on the Aussie dollar. Okay. Japanese economy. Okay. This is basically, let's just say reading the news for Japan, I'll be honest, is a little bit of a crapshoot, because typically it's, they're a very secretive government. Okay. But essentially this Evergrande update, my opinion, okay, is that if stocks are risk on in Australia, then I already know that I want to be weak on the Japanese yen, because the yen is a shelter currency that a lot of people buy when we are in a risk off situation. Okay. But if China's becoming more stable, Australia's stock market is going up, I'm going to bet the Japanese yen may be coming down a little bit. Okay. So UK, let's talk about the GBP. Okay, confidence falls. Okay, that's not good. Definitely not good. Set to tighten UK financial regulations after Greensill scandal. Okay, so that's also, maybe slightly bullish, kind of neutral. Bank of England cuts growth expectations. That's definitely bearish. Okay, so I feel pretty bearish about the UK, bearish about the yen right now. I'm bullish on the New Zealand dollar, and I'm somewhat bearish on the Aussie in the short run. Canada, okay, worsening housing crisis. Okay, I don't need to read any of this other stuff. I already know they've got a worsening housing crisis. Okay, so I don't have to go much further than that. Okay, China's real estate sector slowdown could impact economic recovery. Okay, so that may be lessened a little bit. Okay, suicide rates fell in Canada despite the pandemic. That sounds like propaganda. Not going to affect our trading a whole lot. Other than that, Canada just voted for more of the same. So they increased their debt by, I don't know, double more since 2019. So if they're going to continue to do that, they're devaluing the Canadian dollar, my opinion. So I'm going to be weak on the CAD. I'm going to be weak on the yen, UK. And I am actually going to be bullish on the NZD. I'm going to be a little bit bearish on the Aussie. As far as Europe and the US goes, okay, this most important thing here, I think we skipped over this to start off, okay, but essentially this is the most important thing, in my opinion, on this list. It says Fed opens up a repo spigot as Wall Street stares down the barrel of a US debt ceiling. Okay, so what that means is that they're opening up a market for stock traders to essentially invest in dollars every night. Okay, by double the amount that they used to, and it's $160 billion. They can park up to $160 billion, okay, overnight at the Federal Reserve Bank in New York. Okay, so what that means, well, let's just say people are going to be investing in money more, because that's really what that is. They're going to cash out of the stock market, and then they're going to put money into, this reverse repo market. So that being said, they're really making it sexier to keep money in dollars. That's really what they're trying to do. Okay, so if I know that, I'm going to be bull on the dollar. Okay, Europe, okay, they're paying record prices for energy. Winter crisis looms. This sounds like bad news. Spain surprise growth revision cast doubt on stellar rebound. That's actually pretty good for them. Norway raises interest rates. I didn't really see that. They're not on the euro though, so that doesn't necessarily matter so much, but they could be leading the way in Europe. So may not want to necessarily jump in too much on the Euro USD. I think I might already be in a couple of those with the robot. But power price surge threatens Spanish recovery. Okay, so basically they're trying to recover over there, but let's just say energy is expensive. So that's going to make it hard. It's going to slow everybody down. Okay, that's really what that is. And what's also funny about this, everybody seems to love Elon Musk around the world. Tesla's pushing to boost fuel economy penalties. Okay, so that they're trying to eliminate their competitors in the marketplace, with government policy, which to me sounds pretty tyrannical. So I'm not a huge fan. I think that I think Elon's a criminal, honestly, if you want my opinion. The pump and dump that Tesla did with Bitcoin really kind of speaks volumes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then by all means Google it. He pump and dumped the entire world and made somewhere around, $750 million in a very short period of time. And nothing happened because the government doesn't care. But anyways, so we figured out what we want. I'm going to be bull dollar. I'm going to be bull NZD and bearish on pretty much everything else. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to the charts. Okay, we're 13 minutes into this whole deal. I did go a little bit longer than I wanted to. I told you I was going to try to do that in 5 minutes. But let's get to the charts. And I've got some trades open. And, I'm just trying to grow this account slowly here. Just going to keep adding money to it. It's a little bit over $1,100 in it right now. I think initially there was $500 in it or something like that. It's been a month or so. But just, trying to add money to it, trying to win trades, grow this account, build wealth. That's what this is all about. The pound Aussie. Okay, so I may be bearish on both of those. I might say sideways, Philip. If I wanted to trade any pound cross, the pound New Zealand might be a better one for us to look at. I'm already in a few of these, so I just want to kind of take a look at them. Looks like the RighTrader Max actually opened up this trade on the Aussie USD, and it did it a little bit heavier than what I'm used to. And the reason why it did that, okay, is because I have it trading a risk percent. So it's going to trade with a stop loss and risk a 1-2% of my account, something like that. So it traded this 0.08 position all on its own. It's up 23 pips. I'm up $18 or whatever right now. If that's scary, if that's too big versus everything else that I typically trade, I may shut that out, personally, for me, I'm not afraid of that, and I plan to continue adding money to this account. So it's not going to look as big, but let's come to the weekly time frame here. Okay, I just want to get an idea for where this might go. Okay, so I'm going to try two things. I'm going to look at my Fibonacci's in both directions. I'm going to find out where the 382 is on this upward trend. Okay, it's right there. Okay, so that may be where I want to trade towards. Okay, if I assume that this Aussie dollar is going to be continually bullish in the long run. Okay, so that being said, okay, that may just be our test price. That may be where I get out of dodge. Now that I have marked that level for myself, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to measure from the top. Okay, just because I can. Okay, so this is a much more bearish move on the top than it is a bullish move necessarily, at least currently. And we've got a big trend line break here. I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. Okay, that's a big trend line break. And actually that happened sooner than that. It was actually up here because we've had lower highs and lower lows on the right side of that trend line since it started moving down. So I am looking at this like it is a bearish move. And, you know, Australia is very slowed down economically. So it really shouldn't be possible for it to continue to rise. But, you know, let's just say the US dollar is going to kind of drive this market because there's a lot more dollars in circulation than there are Australian dollars. So really kind of at the mercy of the US here. Ray, the pound yen, we can look at that. That one may also be sideways, but we can take a look at it. But that said, I think I like my initial aiming point here, and you know, maybe I actually get out a little bit sooner than that if I'm not already in this market. Right now may not be the best time to jump in, say the very least, because it does look like we're at a little bit of a low price. It may take a little bit of a breather. I'm going to go ahead and just close this out and take this money. Keep that $14. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up another place to get in because I think the market makes a little bit of a rebound. And the other thing that might be concerning on this trade, just to pull this down here for you, is that we've got a counter trend break and we are on the backside test right now. Okay, so that trade may already have completed. Okay, for at least right now, I want to come to a slightly higher time frame, maybe get a little bit of a different look on this thing. Okay, and that's the reason why you change time frames, people. It's so that you can actually get a better idea of what might be happening in each different time frame. Because you know, who's to say that the time frame I'm looking at is the right one necessarily, that the banks are looking at, the people that control the market. The 4 hour, the daily are my favorite. Okay, so I've now closed that trade out, but I really don't know if it necessarily made sense for me to do so. Okay, so the reason why I say that is if I come down here, I mark this similar level here, mark this blue level, just because we did go a little bit past our red level here, our 618. That was kind of our test spot up here at 74.2. But, you know, we work towards the blue line up top. So I want to get out before, you know, our red level below, just because it's far away anyways, and who cares? Okay, so let's come down to a 1 hour time frame here, because this thing's making lower lows, lower highs. You know, there's really no reason for me to believe that it's going to come crazy high up. But what I may want to do is enter at a slightly better price than we're at right now. And if this has become our range, okay, right here, because I've got a counter trend line break. If that's become my range, you know, then maybe I decide to get in a little bit higher, maybe up here around my 618, and try to sell, because, well, we've got kind of a triple bottom that's formed down here, and this may kind of slingshot up on me a little bit. So I may want to actually pass on this Aussie USD right now. But I do want to make sure before I do that, I set up something pending, okay? Because that's really, if I'm going to come here, I'm going to spend time doing analysis. I've already figured out where I think it makes sense to be a buyer or a seller. So what I'm going to do is just set myself up to do that as soon as we get there. Okay, this is a 1 hour time frame. This could happen relatively quickly. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make this green line up top. I'm going to make that red. Okay, and this looks like a very attractive trade. In my opinion, I may reel in a little bit. Just going to keep on getting closer, whittling down on my trade expectations, okay, so that I don't overextend and try to go further than I really should. Okay, so if that's what I'm looking at, and really the Fibonacci tool is just the tool that I use to measure risk. Okay, so now that I've measured out where my lines are. Okay, this is a risk of 120 pips or so. So if I do a 0.01, it's 12 bucks. You know, 1% of my account to try to get to almost 3% of my account. I think I like that idea. There's a very solid probability that that could happen. If I wanted to, I could actually enter in this a little bit earlier, maybe. But maybe that doesn't make sense. I could also look to buy it in the consolidation zone. Okay, so the Evergrande thing might be short-lived. They may have big problems later today, this weekend, tomorrow. Who knows? So that said, the Aussie dollar could spike in that scenario. There is a little bit of a wave that might happen. But I'm going to go ahead and set this pending order. I'm going to do a 0.01 because I don't care about $11. Okay. And that's the point is that I don't care about $11. I'm excited in making 30 because it's better than 11. But that's really it. I don't necessarily need to worry about being right 100% of the time if I just get in at equitable levels. When I say equitable, I mean things that, I'm giving up less than I am receiving if I win. That's really kind of the point. So 0.706. Okay. Actually, did I do that upside down? This is a pending sell. Oh, I need to put in the rate at 0.736. .74. Yeah, sorry, you got to put the rate in here first. Having a little bit of trouble walking and chewing gum at the same time today. Sorry, folks. All right, we'll just do 707. Yeah, there's the ratio that I'm looking for. Almost 3-to-1. I like it. Smart Gauge down here is telling me that I should be looking for sells. The other option is I could turn my RighTrader Max back on and run the automation, which is what I did yesterday. And this time I may just tell it to trade a fixed lot. A push down stop loss. I'm not sure what you mean, Maurice. I could try to enter this trade right now if I want to, but I'm just not. I just took profit on it on a trade that was bigger than I wanted, so I might as well let it sink in for a minute. So max trades, I wanted to do 3. I changed it from risk percent to fixed, so this is going to allow me to keep the trade sizes smaller. Okay, so add-on trades 0.2. That's cool. I'm into that. I'm totally okay with that. So let's go ahead and click apply and start. Rest of that stuff I'm just going to leave as is. Sells only. And very shortly I'm going to have this robot managing this trade for me. And I'm not going to do anything else for right now. There's the RighTrader Max. It's in the sell zone. And well, really that's all she wrote as far as this particular pair goes. So I don't necessarily want to jump into it right now. Herb, I like the RighTrader Max. I like a lot of them. I think there's actually 3 trades open here right now. We'll go to the EURUSD. I've actually got 3 trades open with the power candlestick auto right now. And I like that one just because it's real simple. And if we zoom in here, this is the, well actually let's just do long-term analysis on this so you guys can have a better feel for what's going on. This EURUSD is really the highest volume trading instrument that exists. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hide this stuff that's on here so you guys can't see what I already did. Spoiler alert, I am selling. But let's go ahead and just do some long-term analysis. We can get a look at this thing. Okay, and this is all the data that we've got for the EURUSD. So I'm going to just work my way left to right. And I want to just get the boundaries, the outer boundaries of what's going on. Okay, and that's really kind of what we're looking at, this rising channel here. Okay, and this doesn't change direction very often, if you guys can tell. It seems to make these big long moves, and this is the monthly time frame. Okay, so this has really only changed direction, a dozen or so times the last decade, which is really, well, let's just say very telling, especially when you come down here. And what I'm telling you guys is this right here. I'll just draw this. Okay, so like this is a downstroke for about a year or so, another year or so. This is a sideways move down here that happened for a couple years. That's up. Okay, that's down. This is basically, very long-term type of movements that happen here. Right now, it looks like we're in the middle of a down move. And, really, if I want to get a closer look at this, I don't need any of this stuff anymore, because right now it seems like, well, before I delete this, it seems like we're working our way back towards this lower trend line, okay, to test, maybe stay in this range, you know. How come my recent automated positions didn't show on my orders? I'm not sure what you mean, Maurice. I just deleted one down here. Well, I just closed one out. And here in the comments it says PCA. That's Power Candlestick Auto. Is what that is. So it just puts in the comments section what opened it. So I'm not sure necessarily if we're looking at the same thing. But let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit here, okay, on the Euro USD, because we are moving downward, okay, and this is a lower high. Keep making more of them. Here's some lower lows that are happening too. There's a high. Here's a lower one. And actually, here's a lower high right there. Okay, so we're making lower highs. We're making lower lows too. Okay, this is an even lower one. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to continue down, but that is what the trend is. And, you know, really, if you want to try to visualize this more, people do this a lot of different ways. You know, you could draw this channel that exists here. This is kind of a megaphone looking deal. I didn't mean to grab that circle. Sorry about that. Could be kind of the megaphone deal we're looking at. It's getting wider. Makes it a little bit more difficult to figure out up or down. We're also at a level of support right now. I'm going to go ahead and delete all this stuff. Okay. I'm going to come down to a lower time frame. We are below the most important trend line in my brain. Okay. Most important trend line in my brain is this one. Okay. Because this has been going on since the beginning of September here. This dip that's going on. Okay, so if that's been happening for this entire month, you know, I may think that it's going to continue for the rest of this month. Maybe it turns around at the end of the month. Maybe when they decide to finally raise the debt ceiling, this thing will take a breather. Okay, so at this point, I'm already in this one 3 times. I'm not going to add another position to this, but I am running the Power Candlestick Auto. I would say a good number of them would be great. Perfect storm, range storm, sells only would probably be great. You know, there's a 100 systems that would be great, and I'm just looking for sells, and I may do that strictly until Monday or Tuesday of next week. Okay, because the reality is a lot of this stuff could very well change next week. Okay, the news is pretty much, let's just say, economic announcements. Okay, let me show you guys something real quick. The market does go to sleep. Okay, and it's on the weekend. Okay, a 24-hour-a-day market only sleeps on the weekend. So I want to use that to my advantage. Okay, so just to show you guys, okay, I'm showing the week. There's no more announcements. Friday, September 24th, no more announcements on Saturday. So the point I'm trying to make is that, you know, there's not going to be any big news until next week. And it looks like there's not really any big news until Friday, the 1st. Okay, as far as announcements go. Okay, and if I want to whittle this down, get other stuff that's not going to be as high impact, still not a ton. Final GDP doesn't really move the needle. Maurice, I like all the systems. The secret of all of these trading systems and automations is just to understand how it makes a decision, and then put it somewhere where you think it might make a decision soon to do what you want. That's really it. Because I don't want to sit in front of my computer and wait for that decision to be ready. You know, what I want to do is just have my robot sit there and wait to make the decision that I want it to make. So I don't know if that made any sense. I hope that made sense. I'm always looking for a better way to explain that, but that's really the truth of the matter is that's all I want to do. So I don't know, we've got 32 pips or something like that we've gotten in this trade so far. I could just leave this open. It's going to run 3 trades at a time. If you guys don't have an automation, you're not running one, you're not comfortable with that, whatever, you could always trend trade something like this too. Here's our most recent trend that's gone for this whole month. Let's make sure we zoom in here and get it right on the top. Right on the top. There we go. So we did just hit that AB boundary, and we did bounce off of our 618 level above. Just really nice. So right now we're getting a little bit of a reprieve. We're in this consolidative zone. You know, there's a couple of things that you might want to try. I'm just going to show you a quick idea of what I might do in this exact situation. Well, be pretty easy to do that considering we're staring at it right now. But, you know, if I wanted to be aggressive on this trade, you know, I may go ahead and put a stop loss somewhere like right there. If I wanted to scalp this thing, okay? Somewhere close. And it looks like we've already hit our 618 above. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to figure out what stage of this trend that we're in. Actually need to make this blue. That might be where I enter, slightly above, right there. Okay, this is real aggressive, what I'm showing you here right now. I may trade it below, down to my blue level. You could even try to take it to the lower level here. If you wanted to take it to the lower level, you don't have to be as aggressive on your stop loss. You could have that outside of your range. Okay, so still not quite a 2-to-1, but 2-to-1s don't happen often. I think, my opinion, fantastic opportunity if you wanted to set up a pending order for something like that. I think that's where I would do it. Can I please show you the website where I analyze the data? Oh yeah, I can. It's on the 123trade.com/news. The other one where the data is forexfactory.com. But this news channel, if you want to understand more or less how I go through the news and why I think certain articles are more important than others, then check out this ebook. When you click on this button, it should take you to a page where you can see the Power Pairs ebook. You can get it for free. Type in your stuff, get your free ebook. Pretty straightforward. But actually, I'm proud of that one. I wrote that ebook. But let's keep on moving here, people. I don't want to get too far off the beaten path. We've only looked at 2 currency pairs so far, both of which I'm already in. And USD Swiss is the last one that I'm already in, I think, that we haven't looked at yet. So let's go ahead and check that out. USDCHF. All right. And let's go to the all-time frame here. And this one might be fun. You know, we read the news for the whole world at the beginning of this trading session. And what we basically uncovered is that the world is less worried about China's economy collapsing. And Australia's stock market has already made that reaction. The US is also, well, they might have very tight money policy here very soon. They're flexing right now. They're, well, basically saying that they're okay with defaulting on some of their debt. So that means that they are not going to pay up, and it's going to be more difficult to borrow dollars. Okay, so that being said, they still will likely do that. They're just going to wait until the last minute, have their little Ninja Turtles high five moment between Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi, because they did it. They kept the government open. Which I think is very funny. And sorry for laughing at my own jokes, but I can't help myself, people. All right, so we've got this downtrend that's been happening for many years, okay, but it doesn't happen, you know, constantly. Okay, the market makes big moves upward, makes big moves downward. You know, this is a, well, pretty clear-cut downtrend in the super trend, in the forever trend. Okay, but we are at a very low price. Okay, there's 2 kinds of prices, low ones and high ones. Okay, this is the other way to look at this, because some people may be looking at this and thinking, wow, the dollar is really cheap against the franc. Probably time for that to turn around, because if you look at the box of all time here, we're at low prices right now. The odds of this thing trying to make its way back to the middle, probably pretty good. And the other thing is, you know, even if it doesn't do that, even if it just does continue this downstroke here, okay, this company that I'm making this presentation for is called 123Trade, and this is a 1, okay? The 2 is the backside test, and the 3 is the fall. Okay, so if that's the strategy that, you know, I'm going to predicate, if I also think that we're at a low price for the all-time range, I also think we're going to be bullish, risk on in other parts of the world. I also, there's just a lot of reasons for me to believe this thing can come up. And outside of the reasons that I have mentioned, it's been up 3 out of the last 4 months. Okay, so if it's been up 3 out of the last 4 months, hey, I'm going to go ahead and bet on up, because that's what's happened most of the time for 3 out of the last 4 months. 75% of the time, buying has been a better idea. That's what that means. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down here. Now we're on the weekly. We're at a little bit of a reprieve. We had a nice bull move that happened here. You know, and I'll get rid of this big red thing here. We don't need this anymore. As soon as I can. There we go. Goodbye, red thing. And we're making higher highs here on our weekly time frame. Higher lows. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and circle a couple of these so you guys see what I'm talking about. But I want to keep this as simple as I can. Because here's a low, and there's a higher one, and there's an even higher one. And here's a high, and there's a higher one, and there's a higher one. Okay, so maybe the next one's going to be up here. Who knows? There's no way to know for sure. Let's measure with our fibs and see what the Fibonacci tool thinks. It looks like it came down to the green level below. So the Fibonacci tool thinks that it's probably going to be somewhere closer to maybe all the way down here. Let's get our little circle here and move it down. So this might be where my fib tool thinks that it's headed. So I'll go ahead and leave myself a breadcrumb there. That's where we may rip the tape on life and stop buying the US dollar Swiss. Okay, so if I come down here, I'm going to mark the easiest line to mark, my blue line, my favorite line, current market price. Okay, there's also lots of previous resistance at this price that we busted through with this big green candle here, engulfing bullish candle. Okay, and now we're above all of this previous resistance. So the market may not want to get back down there. Let's come down to the day chart. Okay, we're making a sideways move there. So it is having a hard time for the last 3 days to go lower than all of this mess that's over here. Okay, so as long as I know that, you know, I can very likely find a place to get in on a slightly lower time frame even. Let's go ahead and get rid of this fib here. Maybe why won't it let me do that? There we go. Perfect. Now let's come down to our 4-hour time frame. Okay, we've got this bullish hammer that happened 4 hours ago. So that's a very bullish move. You've also got these rising lows down here on the bottom. Okay, so this is a bull signal to me. Very much a bull signal. We've got lots of reasons to believe that right now could be the time, and hey, maybe I let this thing rock for the rest of the day. Maybe I close it out, I don't know, tomorrow night. It's been following Sunday night, but this could happen quick. I'm just going to go ahead and look for an entry point right now. Actually, I may just get in it right now again. Feels like the thing to do. Although I am already in this position. I think I got a couple of these open. I've got 2 of these open myself. Okay, so if I want to enter this again, you know, it is making a little bit of a downstroke right now. Maybe I measure my fib tool on this current little short-term wave here. Oop, that didn't quite give me what I wanted. Let's go to the 15-minute maybe. Ooh, maybe not going to happen. Let's draw it manually. There's our first little spike that happened. Didn't come down to get this 382, so I think it might come down and get that 382. At least, okay? So if it comes down and gets that 382 there at 0.9 whatever, 0.92369, you know, I'm going to go ahead and just dump this profit. I'm going to take that, okay? And then I'm going to go over here. I'm going to add a pending order for myself. This is a pending buy this time. And put in my rate value, this 0.92369 price, okay? And now, okay, I might just use my Fibonacci range here and say this 0.926 price would be my exit. Okay. My stop loss, make that below. We'll say 0.9215. 9215. See what we got. Ooh, hold on a second here. I got extra digits in here. 0.92369. I hate how it does that sometimes. That is the, I don't know if you guys have seen me make that mistake twice already. I should be a little bit more smooth about that. 0.922. All right, there we go. That's the scalp trade that I'm looking for. That's a short-term, short scalp there, 0.926. Okay, this is a very small trade. Okay, this is not something that I would expect to take longer than the rest of the day today. Okay, so I don't necessarily need to trade it this small. I'm risking $1.60. You know, so if I want to trade this bigger and risk something like, I don't know, $6, then I can go ahead and do it with a 0.04. I could actually go even higher on a 0.05, but this is a really small move, so I don't want to take as much risk as I usually do. So I'll just do a 0.04, pending buy. Okay, place order. May enter me, may not. End of the day, doesn't matter. I'm already in this position. So I don't want to load in too much on one trade. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at something we haven't looked at yet. I've got a few different things here to check out. And I think generally this GBPNZD may be a fun one. And it looks like it could be. Let's come to our weekly time frame. Actually, let's do the all time frame first. We haven't done this one in a while. Start this thing from the top. We'll do the full deal on this thing. Okay. So we did look at it. They're looking at tightening up lending in New Zealand, which basically means that it's going to be more expensive to get New Zealand dollars. Okay. That's basically what the bank is aiming for. Okay. We also know that they actually just voted. They had one more new vote to lower the asset purchasing facility in the UK. That happened, I want to say yesterday. Okay, so what that means is that they're going to stop buying so much of their own money. They're going to taper, I guess you would say, in the UK. So they're going to be less bullish they're going to try to let the economy rebuild itself. Imagine that. We've had this slow up move that's happened for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. Okay, there could be a considerable dip on this pound for a good number of reasons. Okay, so that said, we don't need to necessarily talk about all the reasons. Okay, it's not, I mean, every government on this country and on this planet right now is pretty, well, I think they're all, I would say that they're dumb, but it's not really so much what they're going for. Okay, so at this point, I need to figure out, why do I think this is going to come down? Here's a big reason right there. Okay, we've already done a big 1, 2, 3 right there, and have not yet hit our extension here below. Okay, so if we come down here, yeah, and really all I'm trying to say is the government's doing exactly what the government wants. The problem is that none of us are. Okay, so that's all I was getting at with that. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so much what anybody thinks about any policies or anything like that. It really just matters, how does that play out in real life, and where does the money go? And how can I put some of it in my pocket? Because, well, depending on who's president or whatever it is, you're going to be more or less disappointed with whatever is going on, because maybe you agree, maybe you don't. Truth of the matter is that you need to be able to make money in both of those situations. Okay, so want to make sure that that's clear. I hope you guys don't really care about my opinion. I've got one. I've definitely got one. I don't care about your opinion as much. I care about your opinion, don't get me wrong. But I really want to know, where can I manage the risk? And how do I make money off of this? Okay? That's really it. Okay, how can I make money off of this situation? Because that's what all of the elite people are doing. And that's why all of these situations exist to begin with. So that they can move money from one place to another one. Ideally, some of it in their pockets. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what these people are doing so that I can play along. I'm not going to cause any strife, but you better believe I'll try to make money off of it. So, if it's going to be there, if there's anybody I like to take money from, it's the bank. Love to take the bank's money. That's what this is all about. That's why Forex trading is awesome. So, come down here, lower time frame. This pound New Zealand could be exciting. What I'm looking at here is that we are getting lots and lots of really slow up move. They did just come out and say they're going to get rid of the taper so much. And we've got lots of resistance at the top of this range here. This little box here, go ahead and draw this. Okay. This is pretty much where we've been living for all of September. Okay. This whole month. Okay. We've been living here. So I'm going to assume that we keep doing that. Okay. And I'm going to make this a really, really basic entry. I'm going to go ahead and pull my blue line up here. This is where our current market price is. I'm going to be a little bit aggressive on this too. I'm going to trade this like a sideways trend. Okay, so there's maybe a decent place for a stop loss. Maybe I could go a little bit lower. We'll tighten this to a lower time frame and see what we got. But if I am going to be bullish on the NZD and bearish on the pound, hey, I'm going to trade from the top of this box all day. All day today. Okay, maybe I change my mind on Sunday. Today feels pretty good. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit here. Okay, and I may even be able to close this thing out later today. Okay, so I've got at least 2 previous highs from where we are now. I could even be more narrow on this. if I want to try to be aggressive, let's come down and look at the 15 minutes, see if there's any, cute little reversal maybe happening. We've got a spinning top up top here from, I don't know, 15 minutes ago. We're a little bit higher than that right now. It may come up and try to test the top of this box. Who knows? It does make a little bit of a down, up, down move. It did at least the last time that it fell down. Wasn't as pronounced as this big mess over here on the left. But regardless, either one of those types of things happen again from where we are right now, I may be able to reel this in even more. Not necessarily look at this like, hey, let's take it to the whole bottom of the box. I don't have to be that aggressive. I can I can take profit earlier than that. So, you can't go broke taking a profit. So I'm going to go ahead and go to a market order here. How many pips are we risking? That's what I need to know. How many pips? 30. Totally don't care about 30 pips. 30 and 30-60. Sounds perfect. 30. 60 pips. Go ahead and get that typed in here. So 30 pips, if I do a 0.04, we're talking about 12 bucks. Sounds great. Let's do it now. And the thing about it is that I don't have to worry about these decisions because I'm picking an amount of money that doesn't matter to me. It's 1% of my account. I can be wrong 50 times and still place trades like this tomorrow. Okay, so I'm not telling anybody they have to do anything when I show all these trades. Okay, there's no guarantees that they win. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a stop loss. There would be no red line on this chart. So just keep that in perspective here, folks. Let's go ahead and check out this pound USD. Yeah, no worries, Philip. That's the way to live. I don't want to worry about anything. Why would I want to do that? I'm trying to get this market to make money for me. That's really what I want to do. I don't want to do the work. All right, so now this is our pound USD. Okay, we already made a decision on the pound New Zealand. We're bullish on, the dollar. We're bullish on the NZD. We're bearish on the pound already. This is the other thing that I was bullish on. So, hey, looks like we've got a really nice vibration that happened up here up top. We've got this big trend that happened for a long time on this daily chart. And then it broke, and on the right side of this trend line, we've got some lower highs, okay? There's a double top actually up here. This is our double top, okay? Followed by a lower high and an even lower high, okay? Thing that might be concerning for some traders is that this is the double bottom right here, okay? But it's not as big as this one on top. So I feel more confident about this double bottom, or this double top, than I do about this double bottom, just because it's a bigger pattern. And, the larger time frames control the lower time frames. That's just the way that I've been taught. So I'm going to zoom in. Okay. Now we're on our 4-hour time frame. Looking pretty sideways here on our 4-hour time frame. Does look like it made a little bit of an M shape here. I don't know if you guys know about the whole MW game. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and draw this one here. There's going to be M's and W's all over the place. Okay, there's one right here. Okay. Okay, so the highest probability trade that happens in this scenario is very typically going to be this move that happens right here. Okay, this one back to the point of the M. The one that goes to that level there is usually the one that I like to try to catch. Okay, but that ship sailed. Okay, that already happened. Okay, so can't trade against the trend on that little short-term move there anymore. That's over. So let's go ahead and look for the next possible exit point. I don't need all these circles in my way anymore. Okay, let's come back to our day chart and look and see where our levels of support are. I'm just going to show you guys a few different ways. I know everybody's got a different pair of eyeballs and everybody hasn't seen every tool and every level that exists. Maybe this weekly will give me less lines to look at and maybe more impactful stuff. Okay, so this level down here, the next big level of support on our weekly time frame is all the way down here at 131. That's 500 pips away. So we bust that level downward. That's a 500 pip opportunity. And in my opinion, okay, a lot of people talk about supply and demand. There's lots of opportunity in between these two levels of support, actually. Okay, so if we look over here, okay, the market spent all the way from back here in August of 2018. Okay, lots of prices in there. It left for a while, came back in January of 2020, and it stayed there until January of 2019, and it stayed there until, you know, May of 2019. So we got several months of data where this market just kind of hung out in this range seasonally, you know, October to March. You know, it may want to get back there. It spent lots of time in this range. So, you know, that being a known commodity, and that we've got a really awesome King's Crown up top here as well. Now, if you guys are familiar with the King's Crown, I guess maybe this might be where I might draw something like that. Kind of a double top, more so than a King's Crown, so this charting software may not recognize this perfectly. But yeah, there we go. That's kind of what I'm looking at. You know, if we've got strength on the dollar, you know, the UK is looking at, you know, tough times right now. They're going to try to taper. Maybe they won't. Maybe they will. Who knows? If they taper and they've got tough times coming, they're going to push that thing down, in my opinion. So I very much like the sell opportunity here. And I'm going to get rid of this crown so it's not in the way anymore. Okay. But we've got lots of pips to work with on the bottom side. Actually, let's do the day chart if we're going to pull a fib here, figure out where we want to aim. Oop. Let's use our most recent high. Okay. Well, our biggest high there. So I may want to aim somewhere in the middle of these support levels that are here. Okay, I don't want to try to go past all of them. Now, that might be where I try to get out. 135.3. You know, that's 150 pips from where we are right now. That might be where I mark my exit, because we just tried to get there, couldn't quite make it a couple of different times. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame. Okay, and this one, okay, I'm going to mark my blue price first, my current market price. Keep this nice and clear cut for myself. Maybe this is the time to jump in, maybe not. Let's see. Risk needs to be, I think, above at least that previous high there. Make that red. Okay, so from a risk reward standpoint, I'm okay with this. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't necessarily take this. Did you miss the pound yen? I don't really want to trade the pound yen. I think that's going to be sideways, Ray. Yeah, I'm not really interested in that one today. We can take a look at it, but I'm expecting it to be sideways. So if there's good sideways opportunity, I may actually make a sideways trade. So we could always check that out. I don't need to be, you know, just a trend snob. So let's go ahead and measure this out. 68, 70 pips, we'll call it, to try to capture 140. Like it. 70, 140. And 70 pips, you know, if I want to risk, you know, somewhere around the 12 bucks, whatever, 1% of my account, you know, then maybe I do something like a 0.01 would be $7. So I could do a 0.02 here and risk 14 bucks. I could be real cavalier on this one. No, this is a live account, Maurice. This is actually my money that you're watching me trade right now. I started it with 500 bucks. We're just going to grow it. We're going to add money to it. We're going to keep doing our thing, building wealth. That's what this is. So 0.02, you know, we're going to risk 14 bucks, which is actually becoming closer to what lunch costs. And I sold this thing. We're in like Flynn. At least I am. So, you know, now I've got more trades open. I got a lot more open than I did before. We've taken some profit in this session already. You know, I've got 3 Euro USD trades open. Those are all running on the power candlestick auto. You know, I can try to close one of these out. Maybe it'll let me, maybe it won't. Looks like I just closed one. So I just eliminated a little bit of risk there. I could also run more robots if I want to get more exposure. So one thing that might be fun, we had been talking about JPY a little bit. NZDJPY. Let's check that one out. And we'll get over there. We'll look at that pound yen here in a second. Sorry, I get sidetracked easily. I just had this idea, and I want to check this out. I think this NZDJPY might be hot. Let's go to the month. It really looks like it doesn't want to be. But this thing also goes sideways. Yeah, I'll turn the power candlestick auto on one as soon as I find the next one that makes sense to do it on. We'll do it. So let's go ahead and draw a couple lines on here so we can get a feel for what's going on long term. We've got this kind of big wedge that's happening, it looks like. Okay, so this is really what we're looking at on this NZDJPY. And it's really, well, let's see where these lines kind of connect. It's always a fun thing to look at. That's where supply meets demand is really what that is. At least that's what they taught me in college. Whether that's actually true or not, hard to say. Just say a lot of the things I learned in college I don't really use anymore. But yeah, that's really kind of where those connect. Make sure that we're solid on that. Maybe we just draw a quick horizontal line here. See what price that's at. Okay, it's higher than where we're at. Interesting part about it is, let's make this thing green. This might be where we rip the tape on life and stop being buyers on this thing. Okay, so there's some pretty big turnarounds that have happened at that price. Okay, so if this thing wants to get to that price, if you guys see these over here, this is what really caught my eye. These little turnarounds that happened at that price, where our supply meets our demand. Okay, so what that means to me, this looks pretty bullish. You know, if you guys can see this last year or so, you know, this is a low price, higher low price, much higher low price. Okay, this is a, you know, a high. This is a much higher high. So this is an aggressive uptrend. Let's get a fib on here. Okay, this is our green level above. Hey, why not? Why not? It's at the 236. This thing has been on an absolute tear. If we come down to maybe our weekly time frame, get a little bit slightly of a different set of waves here. Okay, so this is actually aiming to my blue level above. Still modest for our ranges that have happened so far. Maybe we check out the daily. Let's work our way down. I may have to pull a fresh one here. Let's do that. All right. And, you know, this one's actually not lining up as smooth as the last two levels. But that being said, still looking at a situation where we've got a bullish crown that's formed right down here on the bottom. I'll go ahead and draw that for you guys too. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, we got a strong movement off this right tip. Okay, so that's really what I'm talking about. Could go further up than that. You know, I just wanted to kind of show you guys the formation itself. That is the M. You can see that M there. That's the outside of the bullish crown. Okay, that's really what a crown is. It looks like kind of an M. Maybe in cursive. You know what I mean? So, I'm bullish, to say the least. Very much. So let's go ahead and mark this current market price with our little blue. My favorite line. Okay, come down to our maybe 2-hour chart. Look for a place where I can put my stop loss. Okay, and it looks like there's actually a previous low that occurred right there. So I might be able to use that spot unless I don't need to be that aggressive, in which case I'll try to maybe pull it down a little bit further. Maybe something like down here would probably be a safer place for me to not get stopped out. I just need to make sure that that makes sense for my take profit level that's above. And my take profit level that's above is considerably higher. Let's go ahead and get back up to our day chart so we can actually see where that is. Okay, it's considerably higher. So the reality is I may not want to aim for quite as far away, and I may want to actually reel in my expectations to this green level above so we can stay in this range, so I don't necessarily need a sustained uptrend for several days. And I still have at least a 2-to-1 on my trade here. Maybe I even get out earlier than that and I test these highs that happened on the left. Okay, so I'm just trying to narrow my expectations as much as possible so that I expose myself less and I take profit as soon as possible. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and actually on this one, let me see if I've got an opportunity to enter this right now. If not, then I might use my power candlestick auto. Okay, and let's come down to maybe the 30-minute chart. Okay, 30-minute chart, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on my PCA here. Power candlestick auto. Here we go. I'm going to click play. Visualization. Yep. Wanted to show me what it's doing, and I wanted to trade. We'll trade it. We'll trade every day. Just have it start on Sunday and finish on Friday, and that's it. You know, it's going to trade all day. And I don't want it to do anything but buy bullish and buy bearish signals. So if it makes a candle like, hey, this is a strong down move all of a sudden, it's going to buy. If it makes a strong up move all of a sudden, it's also going to look to buy. As long as it fulfills the rules for you know, whatever candlestick pattern that it is, and it's going to look for all of these down here: a morning, evening star, bullish, bearish, engulfing candles, shooting stars, all these time-tested classics. You know, all these formations and patterns that people look for manually, and they have for many years. And, you know, a lot of people are still trying to figure out what a doji star actually is. You know, this thing actually just looks for it, finds it, enters, and trades the direction that I want it to. And it sets all this other stuff. I can just leave that stuff as it is. I think max number of positions is important to pay attention to, and the lot size. Okay, so it's going to open up a 0.01 every time, maximum 0.04. You know, it's going to risk. It's going to add 15 pips for a stop loss, and it's also going to use a chandelier, which I really like. So that said, I'm just going to let it rip. Apply. I'll let it open up to 4 positions on this. I'm okay. I'm not stressed about that. This is the Power Candlestick Auto and Smart Trader, Nicole. This is a Jared Martinez system. So I didn't necessarily enter this right now. All I did was turn on the robot so that it can look for a place to enter, because what I think may happen, what I showed you guys before, I showed you an MW sort of deal, okay? So this thing could have come all the way down here, test these levels below, just my estimation. Could come right down here. Oop, it'll let me grab this blue line. Let's just draw a new blue line. Okay, so it may come down a little bit lower, test levels like somewhere down there, before it decides to do what it wants. Okay, so really, you know, it's just going to wait for a candlestick pattern, and I'll turn these on. You can have it on, you know, all bullish, all bearish. So all these candles that are highlighted, it's going to look to buy on all of these. Okay, so had I turned this on 2 hours ago, it would have bought already. Okay, so if it falls more, makes another highlighted candle like that, it's going to buy. Period. Okay, so the reason why I like this one is just because it's, well, it's relatively straightforward how it works. Okay, and it's going to use a chandelier stop was the other choice that I had, just to show you guys what the chandelier looks like. And that's, I'm not sure what time frame. There's all this stuff is custom configured that goes into all these systems. But the chandelier, just so you guys can see what that actually is. I'll click play on this thing. Okay, this is currently on this time frame. The chandelier is up top. That indicates a potential downtrend. So if you wanted to scalp, you would want to have your stop loss above this chandelier. And this thing's actually using the chandelier as a stop, I think, and maybe slightly adjusted from that. Not maybe, I know that it is. But I can also change this thing, and I can be looking at this 30-minute chart right now. But I can set my stop loss on my chandelier to a different time frame. So I could say, hey, I want to know what the long-term trend is. Okay, so I zoom out here, and this says down. Okay, so we haven't necessarily broken this down, okay, on our trend here, but it's really far away on the day. So this is probably not what I want to use on this time frame, because this is really far away. This is basically telling me that, hey, you should sell right now. I don't necessarily think that makes sense. Okay, so 4 hours. Oh, I don't want to change that, actually. I want to change the time frame on the stop loss, not the actual system I'm running. So let's just make this maybe like a 2 hour. Okay, so 30-minute, 2 hour. You get too far away with the time frames, you're going to end up with a grossly different number. Okay, so this is actually short-term sell. You know, we just had this big green jump here, so maybe we fall down for a little bit. Okay, according to this 4 hour time frame, before it decides to, I don't know, become an uptrend again. Okay, so the thing about trading is you always want to buy the dips, sell the peaks. That's what this is all about. Buy low, sell high. Okay, so I'm going to let this system manage the rest of this for me. I can't close out that chart anymore. Otherwise, well, it'll stop managing my trades. Okay, so now, okay, I want to get one more chart open here. I'm going to show the pound JPY, GBP, JPY. And let's go ahead and look at the, let's just go to the month first. Okay, and this one I'm expecting sideways activity on, but you know, this one moves a ton, so that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Okay, so let's zoom out. Crunch this thing down. I want the whole world in my hands. You know, I want to be able to figure out what the long-term pattern is. using as few brain cells as possible. Yeah, I could try to look at silver real quick for you, Gary. That's not a problem. We've got a few minutes for that. Let's go ahead and zoom in here a little bit, okay? And just take a look. What's been going on? This is a slight downtrend here we've got, okay? On the top we've had, well, I guess this is more of our recent trend here. Try to clean that up a little bit, okay? Actually, this one looks like we might be at a very critical price level. So let's come down to the week. This one might actually be a phenomenal looking sell right now. Hard to say, because it very well could break through this trend line. Trend lines were made to be broken. But now zooming in on this thing, it does look like this is really just a scary place to try to jump in. Just my opinion. Just made 10 bucks. Nice job, Nicole. Not too shabby for your first trade. You think the GBP is weak? I think that you're probably right. Thing is, they've been trying to do, the thing that's hard about this situation for me is that yes, we are coming up to try and test this trend line. Okay, the other thing is that we've got this trend line on the bottom here and that we've already tested. Okay, so really what I would want to wait for is for something to break out, because we've got this big nasty wedge that's happening right now. Let's come down to the day. You know, obviously it would be nice to get into the trade, you know, before the breakout happens, but we are very, very, very much in no man's land right now. You know, if I'm going to do anything here, this may be a sideways move, kind of like what I made on that NZD, and make this a little bit more simple. Just box this thing in. Okay, this is really where the market's been living for a few months. Okay, so we've got our most recent high there. Actually, where's the price pockets and the highs meet? It's right there. Okay, it's where the price pockets and the highs meet. Okay, so there's a price pocket at all three of those levels on the bottom. So, you know, really, you know, I could try to be a little bit less cavalier on the top, a little bit more cavalier on the top, and I'll just show you guys where my exit entries might be, because this is, in my estimation, sideways, and also it's been sideways since July. So, hey, right now might be more sideways time. Could I put a fib on? I bet I can. I bet I can, as long as I click on the right candle here. There's our fib. Okay, but I'm thinking sideways. So really where my box ended up being, where the pockets and all that stuff meets up, that's pretty much this consolidation zone that we're in. Okay, that's between the 236 and the 618 here would be considered the consolidation zone. So if I want to trade anything in there, it may just be this sideways move that happens here. The scary part about this is that giant bull candle. You know, that's a really big move. I'm going to zoom in on that here in a second. And risk reward may not be what I want it to be on this either. So, I mean, hate to be a snob, but this just may not be my style in this range here. Let's go down to the 4-hour chart. I don't ever want to feel like I'm gambling. If I want to feel like I'm gambling, I'll go on the casino boat. Price pocket, Maurice, okay, is something like this. The M's and W's are going to form what's called a price pocket. Okay, so there's one right here. Okay, this little W. Okay, price pocket. This price is really what I'm talking about right here. I guess you can't see that yellow thing. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But that's really what I'm looking at, is that the tip in the middle of this W. Okay, or the tip in the middle of an M that happens on the top. Okay, so for example, these happen on multiple time frames. You know, this is another bigger one right here, okay, on the top. And we're kind of at our price pocket price right now. So, you know, really this trade doesn't make sense unless I reel in my stop loss a little bit. It seems kind of aggressive for me to go any further than where that price is right there. But that said, let's see how many pips we're risking, how many we could make, okay? 83 pips at risk, 124, about a 1.5 to 1. That sounds cool. So we'll say 120. We're going to risk 80. Okay, and I'm going to trade this thing. We'll trade it small because I think it's sideways. 0.01, sell. We'll try to get that 12 bucks. Really, on this pair, it's going to be somewhere closer to like 9 or 10. Huh. Did it not let me do that? Did I open it twice? Getting smoked on that other pound New Zealand trade right now. Maybe a great time to get into this one. Yes, I really want to sell it. Interesting. But it's not going to allow me to do that. So, we're going to do this. We're going to click this refresh button. And we're going to look at, I guess, last thing we're going to have time to look for here is, I think, probably this silver. I think silver is going to be more bullish than gold, but I still think bearish for metals right now, at least until the end of this month. And really, it could come down further. It really depends on this debt ceiling fight that's going on. I think I might just be having a bandwidth issue on my computer right now. I guess it's a lot for me to run live trading charts and and a webinar at the same time. Let me zoom in here a little bit. I'm not getting out of that trade, Philip. I'm not dumping the pound New Zealand. Are we back? I think we're back. All right, so now I should be able to go to my pound yen. Rip City on this sell here. Let's make sure I got the right lot size here. This is important. If you have the wrong number here, you could be very surprised by something that you don't want to be as heavy in, and that's really not what you want. So this was an 80, 120, and I'm shipping it. Let my people go. There we go. Magic happened. Yeah, it's actually 6.6 trillion, Philip. That's what we're trying to get our share of, is that 6.6 trillion a day. It's a this market is huge, to say the very least. But let's go ahead and check out silver. Got one more homework assignment for you guys, and then we're gonna split. I think we'll just open another chart here. New chart. Ooh. Guess maybe it won't let me. Let's go to silver. XAGUSD. All right, let's go to the monthly chart first. Wow, taking a bath right now. Taking a bath. And I think a lot of that is just the dollar demand. There's lots of demand down here below. I've shown this a bunch of times in this session, but I want to give you guys an idea of what the trend has been on silver for, I don't know, a lot of silver's existence. Okay, that was an uptrend that we broke. Okay, and then it spent, a decent amount of time falling down. Okay, spent a decent amount of time going sideways. Okay, in this area here. And I think it comes back down to try to test it. So I think we're falling until we maybe hot stove down here on somewhere around 20 bucks. Okay, so what I'm going to do, come down to our week. And, I don't necessarily think there's any reason why this thing has to necessarily come up right away, because it's going to be, well, let's just say the market for silver is smaller than the market for the dollar by a lot. Okay, so the dollar is going to drive this relationship. That's the only reason why silver is still this low price. Okay, and well, not the only reason. There's a lot of reasons. Producers bet against it so that, well, they don't have to pay as much money for the silver that they use to make your silver-powered cars and your phones and your internet routers and all your other stuff. Okay, gold's going to fall too, Lena. It's going to be just like this, probably worse. Okay, so there's a trend line break. I don't necessarily have time to do all of them today. I would love to analyze every possible thing here today, but I'm just about out of time. I'm actually over time already. But we are getting lower highs, okay, as we're moving to the right here, and lots of, well, let's just say bearish movement for quite some time. Let's get a fib on here. We're going to measure this from both sides. Okay, we're not quite to our extension level yet. which could be the next stop for the silver train, could be right down here at 21.5. That's 70 cents away. This is the week chart that we're looking at. That could be our next price to test. Okay, so it could be a sell to that price. Make this green because I'm in sell mode when it comes to trading. When it comes to buying it physically, I mean, we're getting into better territories to buy the physical. Is really what that means. Because physical is a long-term move. It's not a trade. Okay, so trading is all about making money on the short-term move. So if you own a bunch of physical gold or silver, it might be really nice to hedge yourself and make money trading while it falls. Okay, so that's really what I'm looking at here. That's really a strategy that I didn't come up with on my own. It's been around for a long time. But really, this fib level here. This is pointing all the way down here to 17.8. Man, that happens. I'm buying a couple. Like I'm gonna get way more physical if that happens. They're gonna have to back up the Brinks truck for me if we get down to 17.8. I'm a buyer there for sure. Okay, so let's come down to 4 hour. And what we're looking at, I mean, this looks like a downtrend to you guys, right? It's been making, lots of lower highs, lower lows. I mean, just to point this stuff out. So I know you'll get a more keen eye for this stuff as you see it and you see other people point it out, but like, it's just making lower lows. People have just been selling the highs or buying the dips, for a short period of time, but that doesn't work out as often. Notice there's only a few of those opportunities that happened and a lot more opportunities that you could have sold that would have worked out that we just pointed out right there. Okay, and this goes all the way back to May. Okay, so could that be a double bottom? The answer, Ray, is yes. Is it a double bottom? I don't know. We don't know until it makes one. And I'm still going to be bearish as long as we're below our trend line. We're pretty far below it. We're under it. I'll be bullish on this thing once it breaks the trend. Right now it hasn't. So I'm thinking sell. I'm thinking lots of different opportunities might happen to sell. And, Ray, maybe right now is a little tight. Let's come down to our 1 hour time frame. And I can't trade this like you guys can. In the US, they don't let us have this much fun. But this is our counter trend line break on our downtrend right there. Okay, and I've mentioned the 1, 2, 3 earlier. And the 1, 2, 3 strategy. Okay, this is a trend line break, backside test, and a fall. Wow, magic, right? Okay, so that already happened. What I would expect is maybe the next one to happen. Maybe this a lot of different schools of thought and how you figure out where that might be, but it might be on the backside of this line. Okay, it might be at these levels here. I might look to sell this thing. Maybe not quite right now, but maybe right up here. Okay, maybe right up there. Just a little bit higher at these price pockets that exist there above. And, our level below here, 21.5, that gives me lots of leeway to maybe have a stop loss relatively, not so far away. Maybe somewhere like up top. Got a couple previous highs there. Looks like a pretty sexy sell opportunity to me. I want to make sure that there's no crazy support in my way that I should be aware of, but maybe I'm not, Let's go ahead and just turn on our smart support. Okay, it looks like there is lots of crazy support. Okay, lots of crazy support. Let's come down to the day time frame. Yeah, no problem, Nicole. I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, this is basically right out of our support zone, so I may not want to aim that far. I'll aim to the edge of my support zone, 21.6. That might be where I would want to dump. Okay, that being said, relatively large move when you come down here and you look at this on the 1 hour. Okay, it doesn't look like a whole lot. But, a $1 move, you're talking about 5% or so. 4% on silver. It's a big move. Okay, so that's all for today, folks. If you guys enjoy coming to these sessions as much as I enjoy giving them, then by all means, please, 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 I'd appreciate it so much. If you guys want to say thank you, you can do it for free. And give us a Google review. I'm going to copy this link address here so you guys can, not only see what reviews that we have, but maybe give us one here real quick. I'm not asking you guys to spend a ton of time. I just want to make sure, we get as much elbow grease into your trading strategy and making you better at trading as possible. Okay, so That's really the whole point. Okay, I want to make sure that you guys can figure out how to be long-term sustainable in trading Forex and really anything. You know, it's a very much something that helps us a ton. You know, the Google machine is the king of the world. Everybody searches on Google, and you know, if you want to support us, you want us to be around, you want more of these trading sessions, that's the easiest way for you to make that happen. So again, I'm Will Bridges from your team here at 123Trade. I hope you guys enjoyed today's session. Should have the recording up here sometime around 2:30, 3 o'clock, depending on how things go. But you guys, you know, enjoy your weekend. Be good or be good at it. Take care, folks.